right, welcome into PHNX Rising Podcast. Hope you folks are having a fine Valentine's Day. It is February 14th. Call me Cupid. Maybe this is Cupid over here with my little arrow. Bang. Not a Nerf gun. That's an arrow.
It was definitely a Nerf gun.
It could have been. We'll never know. Well, hey, I am Max David Simpson. This is Mr. Owen Evans. How you doing, sir?
Well, I didn't get hit by the Nerf gun, so there's a good starting point, right? I've got to be honest. I saw him holding it there. I didn't trust him. Well, I was expecting it was going to hit me. It was going to hit a mic, maybe a camera, possibly one of the cans of beer that we have here. But hey, he managed to avoid it all, so off to a good start at least, right?
No one in this room is named Mike. So
what, you mean a Tottenham fan not being able to hit the mark?
Whoa! Okay, whoa,
sounds about right, to be fair.
Well, I mean, actually, shoot, it's getting a little hot in here. I just need to take this off. Oh, what? I changed a kit, and I'm supporting Ireland. Wow, that's kind of nice. Didn't see that coming.
It's a very random Irish
isn't it?
Kit.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what we got today for you guys today. But hey, very excited for a show. Lots to get into. First big thing, we played a little bit of a game over the weekend, a little scrimmage against GCU, Grand Canyon University. And you had the privilege of being there. First initial thoughts from the takeaway of that game.
Well, they won 5-2. Mm-hmm. So when you look at it from that perspective, yeah, everything going as it should do. And that's kind of the thing, right? Everything going as it should do is the theme. Because when you're playing against GCU, it's not like, oh, we won by several goals, therefore it's really good. You should be beating them by several goals. They're a Division 1, they're a college team, right? I remember someone tweeted during the game about how it was, it gave New Mexico vibes, kind of like New Mexico beating up on kids last year. Slightly different,
a little bit,
because they aren't literal children this time. They are actually college students, but you've got to still at the same time bear in mind that there's only so much you can learn from that. But I think there were a lot of positives. I think we saw some, getting the chance to see some of these new players for the first time. Definitely a positive, and the fact that they actually did perform reasonably well. Look, there's some chemistry building, all of that. I feel as though there were a lot of positives we can take from it in that regard, but still limited in some ways. Limited, definitely.
Of course, and I mean, it was cool that we saw a variety of different players being featured. Kind of a bit of a different team that started the first half versus the one that started the second half. I mean, I know we're going to get into this a bit and really talk through kind of like the minutia of the game, some of the takeaways that you had, who you liked, who you didn't like. But really, before we get into that and before we hear from Juan, how much significance do you place on this? Because on the one hand, the opposition, you got to call it what it is. It's not up to the caliber that we're going to be playing every week. But at the same time, these are valuable reps, even for the fact of team chemistry. And you do start to see some guys emerge. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, of 10 being very important, 1 being not at all, give me a number of what you rated something like this.
Good question. I'd say, what would I rate it?
On the spot.
I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. It is a really good question. I was actually going to come back with something entirely different, but then you go with the thing that, when you look at these friendlies, you're looking for 3 things, really. Mm-hmm. You're looking for chemistry.
Yeah.
You're looking for conditioning. You're looking for them to actually be getting fitter, and you're looking for confidence. Yep. That's why you play these friendlies against weaker opposition, and teams around the world do it. Everyone plays games against weak teams. They often play them against local weak teams. It kind of often builds relationships between those teams. You see it again across the world. I feel as though the game itself, again, it's a combination of weak team and early preseason. Those two things don't add up well to you really being able to read too much into it. But again, it's the first time that we've seen most of these players on a pitch together. So I don't know. I won't put too much stock in it, but I'm still taking positives out of that game.
No, for sure. And I mean, that's kind of what I kind of gathered from when you look at a game like this, you see the result. I mean, you're a team like this, you're supposed to beat convincingly. I mean, if this was like a draw or a loss, I would be drawing some very real concerns. But
when they went 1-0 down within a minute as well.
And that was like, okay, wake up, let's get it together. I saw that on Twitter. I was like, ruh-roh. But no, I mean, the result turned out as it did. I think, like you said, there was some things within the scoreline where a little bit of cause of concern, but overall, they won. They won by a good margin. They did what they need to do. And the rest of this, it will sort itself out, but it really is just finding out who those players are, where the team is, and really just what are some of those combinations. But I would love to hear. We got some video from head coach Juan Guerra talking about his overall look of the game and kind of his thoughts from it.
Well, today and the other day, we wanted to combine today's performance with the performance and the game from the other day versus Colorado. So little by little, it's part of the process. It's part of the journey that we're taking. It's finding minutes, finding rhythm, making sure that we get no injuries. And the most important thing is for the guys to start getting used to playing with each other and starting to get to know each other. We've been working very hard during training, making sure that our principles, our style of play, that the guys understand the way we want our identity to be. But the games is different. The games give you a lot more information, and it's been good. If we have to do a quick summary of the two games and a quick reflection, I think it's positive. We're on the positive side, but there's a lot of work to do still to keep getting better and getting to where we want to be.
I mean, after hearing that, fair assessment by Juan?
Yeah. Look, again, it's all about just getting, again, as I said, those 3 C's. That's what you're focusing on at this time. You're focusing on that whoever you're playing against, right? If you're playing against teams in your own division, you're playing against teams from a higher division, or you're playing against teams from a lower division. That's all that really matters. These results are relatively pointless. It's all about what you can do. And I mean, in that game, you had 2 completely split up 45s. You had an 11 in the first 45, a different 11, completely different 11 for the second 45. I don't think they even had a plan for what would have happened if a player had gone down injured in the second 45, to be honest. So, yeah, I feel as though, again, it's a lot of positive. You want to see these players getting out on the field together because they are building that kind of chemistry more than anything. I mean, the identity, that's something they work on in training. It's how they actually implement it as a team. The chemistry they're building as a team that really matters when you're seeing them on the field in these games. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Definitely. Well, and we want to get to some of the overall themes that we took away from that scrimmage. I mean, let's talk a bit, right? We talked about there was 2 different starting 11s, one for the first half, one for the second half. You know, I'll list off some of the notables from the one that started the first half. A lot of trialists on this one, but really I'll focus on some of the core guys who we believe are going to be competitors. Surely some of them penciled into the starting lineup. You know, in goal, got Rocco Rios Novo. A couple of guys from last year, Kevon Lambert, and then we had Jose Andres Hernandez in the midfield with Renzo Zambrano and Federico Varela. I mean, again, with a lot of different trialists, but any of those players really stood out. And I know we're going to caveat that we're going to talk more about Lambert later on in the show, kind of his positioning starting in the defense. But anyone else outside of him?
Well, I think, look, we'll talk about both starting lineups with the goalkeepers. I'd say that neither of them I felt like were tested that much. So it's kind of hard to really read too much into whether it's Rocco Rios Novo or whether it's Patrick Rakowski to start the season at this point. I think one of the things that really intrigued me in that first half of play was the role that Henry, the Uzo was playing in there, at the back, as he was playing on the right right wing. I always get confused my left and right. He was playing on the right wing. He really did seem to cause some problems with it. There's also a lot of feistiness out of him, which I like. I like to see it as long as it's controlled, which he didn't do anything stupid, but he was not going to take any nonsense from any GCU players. Trust me, you could hear what he had to say to them and about what they thought about him as a player and as a result what he was going to do to them back. He didn't exactly keep himself to himself on that. So I like it. I like to see that bit of the fight. I think the biggest standout more than anything, though, is Federico Varela. This is a guy who, look, we heard all the hype coming in. There's been the public hype. There's been the private hype. And the private hype has been very much along the lines of, this guy coming in is going to turn heads. This guy coming in is going to appear to be someone who should be at a much higher level than this league. And it's hard to tell in friendlies, especially against weaker opposition, quite how you should judge it. But I'd say it was a good sign that there's some good backing to that hype. Because in a lot of ways, he had some of the positives, I think, of that we'd seen in Arturo Rodriguez in the past, where he covered a decent amount of ground. He seemed as though he could be a little bit unpredictable. The defenders weren't quite sure what to do about him. The difference more than anything, Arturo was still quite raw in a lot of ways, still quite young, not quite got it all together. he had a lot of that natural talent. He just needed to put it together. Varela, to me, is someone who every touch had purpose. Every bit of movement had purpose. And bringing all of that together, you create someone who, in fairness, probably should be playing at a higher level than USL Championship. One other thing to note, I think, Aidan Quinn's corners were all right. John Baquero's corners were all right. I will say I don't recall a corner from Varela that didn't hit a pretty decent danger zone. And he took quite a few in that first half. So he was on corner duty both sides. And every time he was whipping them in there, he was getting like that sweet spot between the 6-yard area and the penalty spot. And it's dropping in there. And you just think, if you can get your big guys up there, they can get up there, they can challenge for those headers. You are turning those corners into legitimate threats. And I think having him on corner duty is going to be interesting to see this year.
Especially because Rising this year, they have like a pretty solid, like tall defense. Seems like they got a lot of guys back there who can, be good in the air, win some aerial duels. I like that. I'm a sucker for a good in-swinger and out-swinger combo. And I think something that you touched on, it's something that they sorely lacked last year, of a guy who can draw, whether it's driving on the defense or moving off ball. Like you said it, moves with purpose, moves with conviction. Everything he did, even if in hearing from you, even if the ball didn't come off, there was an intention behind it. He wasn't just taking a touch to take a touch. And I think that's something where that is really where you show that you're a level above, if you are thinking not just what's in front of you, but thinking 1-2 steps ahead of where the play is developing. And it's early, really depends on the opposition, but that's even something like this where you either kind of have that or you don't, and you're going to see that early on in these scrimmages.
Absolutely. And look, it's going to be, I feel as though there is some pressure on Fede here, just because the hype, at least internally, definitely has been pretty strong. This was a guy who wasn't just supposed to turn heads because they signed him. Again, he was supposed to turn heads, because when he actually takes the field, he's going to look like he doesn't belong in this league.
Yeah.
And that's been the word coming out of Rising. It's been the word coming out of the club. So now we want to see it. And I think if he can put together performances against USL sides that are comparable to the performance he put out against GCU, I think we're looking at someone who seriously could be a real outside candidate for the MVP come the end of the year.
Wow. That's a clip.
Dangerous.
That's a
Look,
clip
this guy was in there for the first half. 2 goals in that half, one of which he set up because he plays a ball across the face of goal, comes off the post, lands at a trialist's feet. The other one, we've all seen that video. I mean, I got to see it in real life, and what a curler that was.
That is a curler top bins. That's a beauty. There's not a keeper who's stopping that.
That's the thing, right? We all talk about the limitations of GCU. Doesn't matter who you're playing. No one's saving that. Nobody is saving that.
The other thing, too, is like, that's not just a wide open shot where you have all day. He got closed down relatively quickly. The defender could have maybe closed in, put more of a body in it rather than just a leg. But, like, you're not stopping that.
No.
Not a soul stopping
Nobody is stopping that goal.
To see Thomas's comment in the chat, Varela is a baller. MVP. That's going to be a quote that we might have to refer back to. But I love that insight. One thing, and you touched upon it earlier, going down in the first minute. I know that it's something that the team clawed back, and it did not end up mattering really at all in the final score. What was, if you can explain, what was like the atmosphere within the club where, this is a lot of new guys who have played together. It's a meaningless game, but it is one that's important for team building. And you go down in the first minute to GCU. Again, no disrespect, some disrespect. You go down to GCU in the first minute, and especially from the goalkeeper position, new goalkeeper, a lot of people are already saying, oh, he should be the outright starter. Anything from him, anything from the defense of what was their reaction, or was it business as usual? Let's get back to it.
Hard to tell in a lot of these games. I think it was something that became quite a theme during COVID, especially when games were being played behind closed doors, that people were struggling to get up at times for games because it didn't feel like it was a real game. And that's how these training ground friendlies can feel sometimes. You get out there, what's the atmosphere? There isn't one. You're playing on the training ground where you're playing all week training. So look, they bounced back reasonably all right. I think, to be honest, the early goal was more just, it's a little bit of miscommunication, a little bit of, it's early days, right? This is a lot of players, especially in the defense, who aren't, used to playing with each other. I think one of the things that Rising seemed to struggle with defensively was they were being caught on counterattacks. That's down to two things. Number one is GCU's playing for those counterattacks, which you expect to do if you're an underdog.
Yep.
That's how you play.
Yep.
And number two is that you tend to be more liable to be caught on those kind of counters when you haven't played with each other, because you don't know each other's tendencies. You don't know who's going to go where. You haven't quite gotten down to what your teammates' weaknesses are either side to know how you need to work to compensate those.
Yep.
So that doesn't surprise me that that's how GCU was getting chances in these games. The key thing is actually facing those kind of chances is what builds that knowledge. It's what builds that familiarity with your teammates, that you know how you've got to step up and how you're going to cover for them when you're in situations like that. And so, look, it didn't feel as though it was that significant. I think it was possibly those off the field were more of an, oh no, here we go. But that's just because it's been such a long time of seeing PHNX Rising struggle over this past year. You know, it's kind of become that ingrained, like, oh no, please don't tell me it's going back down that route. Well, and it didn't.
No, and the reason why I ask is I'm less concerned about the tactical side. I mean, again, didn't matter in the final score. You know, you give up a goal that early on, it's unfortunate, but like you can battle back. I'm more curious of how the team pulls together, how it is those intangibles of like the chemistry of the camaraderie. Is this a team who can gel? Because listen, people are going to say, oh, it's a scrimmage against GCU, first minute, whatever. And honestly, fair. But on the other hand, if you think that this is going to be like, there's not going to be setbacks similar to this, parallel to this, you're wrong. There's going to be setbacks along the season, some not as serious, some more serious. And it really shows in these early games, especially when it's meaningless, how a team responds. So it's good to see that it sounds like they pop back to it, got going again.
Speaking of chemistry, I'd like to move on to the second half if we can. Do you want to run through some of the players that played in that second half?
You got it, man. That's what I was going to ask if we had anything else to go over in the first. But seeing as we don't, let's go through it. So we had a couple trialists going on, but mainly it was a lot of the guys who we figure to make an impact. Again, going through it, Patrick Rakowski in goal, Darnell King in the defense, along with Niall Dunn, Alejandro Frenmaier, and Eddie Monjama. Midfield, Carlos Anguiano, Carlos Javi, Emil Coelho, and with Manuel Arteaga leading the front line. Any notable performances, anyone who you wanted to see featuring in that second half that didn't?
Never fallback that really made a difference there. I spoke about Uzo earlier. I'm going to go with Manjoma. I thought that he was pretty important in the way that they were attacking. They were using him quite a lot down the left-hand side, and he was whipping in balls, and I think he was causing some danger. I think that he had some pretty decent chemistry he was building. I mean, the main two who really I was looking at the chemistry there for were Coelho and Arteaga. Manjoma was the third one I'd say to that, but I think that the two of them up top, especially between Coelho and Arteaga, were definitely probably the two most natural together looking players I've seen all game.
That's why you text me right afterwards. Those two are linking up well.
They were linking up very well. I think the number of chances they were setting up for each other, just kind of catching them. We're on each other's wavelengths. It was just, again, right, there's only so much you want to read into it because you are dealing with a backline that is not going to be that good. But at the same time, they were reading each other very well. They were finding those gaps between the defense, and they were slotting each other through reasonably well. So I think at this stage in the preseason, if you're going to see that, that's really good. That's a really good sign. You want to be seeing that. You want to be seeing those players knowing where each other are. I mean, Arteaga could have had a hat trick, to be honest, in that game. He only got 2 in the end. But he definitely could have had a hat trick. Coelho, arguably should have buried the one before he did ultimately score. He scored on the rebound, so it doesn't really matter. I feel as though, look, they had a really good start to their preseason in that performance. And from there, I mean, we're just going to have to see where it goes. I understand the chat at the moment. We got Thomas Rosales asking here about, Michael got to get an Arteaga jersey if he bangs in goals this season. Michael, of course, in our chat has not been the most... no, he hasn't been the biggest fan of Manu up top, but... hey, look, he got 2 goals in this preseason game. As much as you can say that preseason doesn't count, well, it's more goals than anybody else has gotten in preseason so far.
Dang. No, it's the little moments building towards the chemistry. I like it too. it is those individual players. If you're linking up well, that's something that really does carry over, even if that's not going to show up on the score sheet. The fact that you're building chemistry, yes, as a team, but I really look at individuals within this preseason because that to me is a bit more indicative of who is progressing. As a team, you should be beating a team and you should be playing well as a whole. And yeah, maybe different deficiencies are minimized, but if you are linking up well with either a strike partner or a midfield partner, that is something that does not matter against the opponent. That is either there or it's not. And building out early on is incredibly invaluable.
Absolutely.
I love that.
And it's just the broader picture for the whole team. You want to be building that chemistry. That's why next week is happening. That's what you want to do. So vitally important at this stage.
I love BJ's comment. Confidence can be built in the preseason, and goal scorers need to score to have confidence.
Michael's already hitting back here. How many goals did Epps have in preseason? How did the regular season go? I didn't think Epps was that, but look, Marcus Epps was not the problem on that team last year. Not the problem in the slightest. Now, he was not Solomon Asante. I'll grant you that. We all understand that. No one expected him really to be Solomon Asante. He had elements where he could have been all right. I just feel as though don't scapegoat Epps. That's harsh. There were so many things going wrong last season. To scapegoat one player there, not nice.
It's tough. Well, first, want to ask: is there any other like second half performances you want to highlight?
Not really. Yeah. I feel as though. Yeah, a lot of the work was done down. Look, Darnell had some opportunities. I feel as though, again, though, Manjoma and Cuello and Arteaga were the main factors in that second half for me.
I gotcha. Well, before we move on, I did the one question I have, and I'm curious if the chat has anything to chime in with. How much stock do we want to put in on who's playing first half, who's playing second, who's not featuring at all? Because again, in the first half, okay, maybe those are some of the guys who you figure to be starters. Rocco in goal, Lambert in the defense. But then again, a lot of trialists versus the second half. It's a lot of guys who you figure whether they're starting or not. You can see a lot of link-up play there. So I'm really curious to hear from you, hear from the chat. How much weight do we put into something like that?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'll speak to it more when we talk about the games that are coming up.
I like that.
But not this last weekend. Going forward, maybe a little bit more.
I got it. Well, it seems like you're not really going to bet too much on that type of starting lineup, but you can bet on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, baby. Well, I'm
surprised I held that for as long as I did. I impressed myself.
The silence is the best parts. But hey, we I placed a little wager this afternoon. And sometimes I give really good advice on betting with Spurs, and other times not so much. It was a tough game against Milan today, and didn't go quite as planned. I bet on a draw. I bet on a draw.
So you lost.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But plus 230 for a draw. And they were close. One goal away. It happens. But
he says the odds here as though he doesn't understand that the thing about plus 230 there is you put $100 on, you lose $100 because you know what? They didn't get the draw. I'm a risk adverse bettor. I only do $5 at a time because I like the little incremental gains. It's more the wins within my emotion than the money. That's really what matters. The wins in your emotion. Okay, Max. Okay.
Yeah, it's an emotional roller coaster. But hey, there's a lot of Champions League you want to bet on. We see producer Sean, big fan of Chelsea, and we got actually a pretty juicy matchup tomorrow. Dortmund versus Chelsea. Dortmund plus 145, draw plus 235, and then Chelsea for a win plus 200. It is Dortmund is the home team. They don't like you. They don't like the Blues.
Yeah, I mean, you know what they say. If you put $100 on the Blues, you will lose $100. And this is coming from a Chelsea fan. I have no faith in that club right now, so avoid it.
Mike in the chat, Kane is close to winning a trophy, but he
never
did.
I kind of brought this up with Max, where it was like, how can it be the Champions League when I don't recall Spurs winning any title lately?
You know what? You asked me earlier what titles or what accolades did Spurs win?
He tried bringing up Champions League runner-up.
I said finalist.
Finalist. No,
put that in the books.
What was the last title?
Hanging from the banners.
The answer for anyone wondering is 2008. They won the League Cup. That's the most recent title they won.
All right. Well, if you don't want to take my word for it, I mean, that's on you, and you want to put down some money for yourself, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code PHNX, and new customers can bet $5. That's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details if you dare. And while you're doing it, I'm not saying to drink and bet. I'm not saying that. But I'm also not saying that. Cheers, pal. Happy Valentine's Day.
Got the Sunsbury since the Suns made a certain big acquisition.
Man, you are late.
So I thought I'd get the...
I would say you're late to the party, but that actually happened after our last
show. Yeah, so I'm not late to the party. I haven't been in here since then.
The Twitter world moves fast, but hey,
it moves very
you're drinking the cans. I'm drinking the bottles. We already know bottles one. No Spurs joke. No, I'm already X-ing that, kiboshing that. But you're drinking the nice Suns brew. I'm drinking the Holiday Salted Caramel Baltic Porter. My goodness, it tastes absolutely delicious. Get your hands on Four Peaks. You guys already know. We love them. We talk about them. We were there for the World Cup watch parties. We're going to be doing all kinds of fun stuff. We're going to be at the Four Peaks last Wednesday every single month. But you know what's better than drinking beer? It's pairing them with delicious Girl Scout cookies. Check out Four Peaks cookie pairing at their 8th Street Pub location in Tempe on February 16th. I'm no... Oh gosh, what's a person who handles calendars? I'm no calendar
secretary.
I was gonna say that, but that was too.
He thinks that there's some kind of actual word. I don't think there is.
That was too organic.
Oh, there probably is, but it's way too
complicated.
I'm no Gregorian calendar maker, but February 16th is this Thursday. Join the fine folks at Four Peaks for the cookie pairing. It's gonna be awesome, but you must be 21 years or older to enjoy. Have a great time. Enjoy some beer. But hey, what we're going to enjoy, we really want to get into this next topic. It's something that we've talked about in the past. We alluded to it earlier in the show. Mr. Kevon Lambert, we got some thoughts, especially with him being in the back line during the scrimmage. Does it mean something? Does it not mean something? Let's hear from head coach Juan Guerra.
The good thing about Kev is he's so versatile, right? And the way we play, he could play multiple positions, right? He could play anywhere in the back. He could play in the midfield. If we play with a back four, he could also play in the back. And it gives you so much flexibility. The more games we play and the more training sessions that we give him in the back shows how much more comfortable he's becoming and how good he can become. I think he can be an elite. And when I talk about elite, I'm not just talking about MLS. I'm talking about internationally center back level. And he's still young. You've seen his athleticism. Now you see how comfortable he's becoming on the ball with the game in front of him. So it's good. It's good for us to make sure that we can bring in players that play multiple positions, as you saw today. And on any given day, we can shift the way we look on the field, or our shape, or the positions, without losing the identity that we want to adopt.
I mean, the guy's not wrong. It's a good situation to have, but this is one that's, dare I say, flummoxed. We've been flummoxed by how we're going to see Kevon Lambert line up this year. What are your initial thoughts from that video?
The way that he is talking makes me believe that Kevon Lambert will be featuring more as a centre-back than as a defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
Just the way that Juan is talking there. I feel as though it's something that, yes, he pays the lip service to the flexibility side of things, but all the other talk being, actually, you see all this in training sessions, he's getting more and more comfortable, implies that that's exactly where they're training him, exactly where they're preparing him to play.
Yeah.
Second friendly in a row, I believe, that he's lined up in that kind of a position. So, look, he covers a lot of ground. He's capable of doing it. He adds a kind of pace to the back three, if they are playing a back three, which we're mostly expecting. Of course, they have the flexibility to move out of that, but we're mostly expecting that back three. It gives the flexibility for the fullbacks to really, really attack and not have to worry too much, because you've got someone behind you that can cover that kind of ground that's needed. Now, as Michael is saying in here, multiple rising sources in the past, this has been going for a while, have said that there's always been that tension building between PHNX Rising, on the one hand, under Rick Shantz, wanted Kevon Lambert to be playing as a defensive midfielder. The Jamaican national team setup that kind of had visions of him being a central defender. That's been going on for a little while. I mean, I've been hearing about it for a couple of years now, about that kind of discussion ongoing. So it's not a shock in some ways. I mean, we saw him fill in as a centre-back last year at one point when it was needed, when Rising was really, really struggling for numbers at the back. So, I mean, we know he can do it.
Yeah.
Is he a centre-back, though, or is he a defensive midfielder? I mean, you know what? We've got a poll on Twitter. Go ahead, PHNX__Rising. Hop on over there, vote in there, and then hop in the chat. Chat, let us know. What do you want? Do you want him to be playing as a centre-back? Do you want him to be playing as a defensive midfielder? Or do you really not care? Is this just like kind of a pointless little discussion that we're having here?
I will throw up a poll in the YouTube chat as well.
Yeah, the
technology. There'll be a YouTube one as well, because we can do both.
Whoa.
Why not both?
Whoa. Polls on polls. Yeah, no, it's something that when we talked about it, I feel we and I'm curious if your opinions change, that we both have said, while he can do a solid job of both, we in the past, tell me if I'm wrong, we both think that his best position is in midfield. Has your opinion changed in that one?
Good question.
Like not including like competition, not including depth, like purely where is his best position for him, only talking about him.
It's a really good question. I actually, seeing him on the weekend playing as a centre-back, felt as though he did a very, very good job there. Again, he's able to cover the ground. He's able to kind of do a lot of the things that he did as a defensive midfielder. He's able to cut a lot of things out. I think he can do a really good job back there. So, I don't know. It's hard to say, because I think when we're talking about which is his better position, sometimes you end up getting in a position where you're like splitting hairs.
Yeah.
And the actual difference between him quality-wise in each position is so small, especially compared to the gulf of, say, what you might be relying on for depth in either position.
Yeah.
And the impact it has on the team overall, having played in a different position. It's hard to make that judgment. I feel as though overall he's definitely... I don't know. I feel as though he can definitely play as a centre-back. I feel as though he can do a very, very good job there. If he was to play there all season long in USL next year, it's just a question of, I think, what the team needs.
Owen Evans, the king of sitting on the fence and not giving people a decisive answer. No, my answer really comes down to Mike's comment, is wherever he's needed most. You know, the kind of thing I saw really from last year is we saw him towards the tail end of the last season. He was primarily playing as a center back. When he has played in the center midfield in the past, I think the center midfield depth was a bit weaker in regards to how it was, and he really shined out. Towards the end of last season, coupled with injuries, coupled with really like yellow card accumulation, all that stuff, and really just the fact that we need to shore up the defense, trying to stay afloat for a final playoff spot, moves to the center back position, and I think that's something where he was able to thrive. Now we fast forward to this year, and I don't know if it's recency bias or whatever, but I think the fact that we have an influx of center mids, the fact that maybe our defenders are more suited a bit more as like an outside back type situation, leads me to believe that while I think he might be a better player in the center mid, his greater value is going to be as a center back. And I truly believe he can be the best one of, if not the best on the team in both positions. Give me center back. And this is like, that's really what's changed my line of thinking, is he's able to help the team more, shore up the depth where there is not as much there. And honestly, like, I don't know, if he's a guy who can win aerial duels, can win on corners, but also if you're like, let's say you're playing from behind, you want to push him forward if you absolutely need to. But I think that's something where it's a luxury to have. It's a divisive topic, but it's again a good one to have. I would not mind it if we start the season kickoff. He's our starting center back. Would not mind it at all, and I actually have come around to it.
The poll is quite lopsided. We are right now 7 votes in. 50%, over 50% of people say yes. 29% of people say they don't care. 14% of people say no, he should not be a center back.
As in for center back.
Yes, he should be a center back.
Yes.
No, he should not be a center back. Don't
Be
care.
clear, we got a more binary choice on Twitter at the moment.
Nice.
2/3 of you on Twitter saying that yes, he should start the season as a centre back. BJ, who of course is in our chat as well here, pointing out on Twitter that watching his positional intelligence would be his best spot. Look, I think again, and you're talking about the depth at central midfield. Sorry, we have to consider the fact that the central midfielders are a bit different this year as well. There's maybe a little bit more muscle to them.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. Carlos Anguiano's still about, and he's probably the more most likely to be bullied off the ball. Let's put it that way. I don't think we've ever hidden that. I don't think he's ever hidden it on the pitch. That he's not going to be the most physical presence in the middle of the park. Yep. You're relying on others around him. They're going to play that more bully role, and Kev's capable of doing that. He has done it very well for years here. But you look at some of the other names, and you're just looking at Renzo Zambrano. You're looking at Carlos Harvey. Those are guys who can fill that role. Mm-hmm. Those are guys who can fill that role very well. And then when you've got Jose Andres Hernandez as well in there, as another midfielder in the sense, yeah, stuff's getting crowded because Federico Varela is presumably playing every game.
Yeah,
as your more attack-minded midfielder, yes, but I don't know. Yeah.
Is this something where Juan needs to come out and say this is his position, that's that, to end this discussion, or is it something that it's going to just kind of settle itself?
Well, does he have to? I'd imagine that Kev knows. I'd imagine that Kev knows what the plan is so far. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm
curious. I personally don't think he has to, but I'm curious if that's something where if you are a teammate of his, whether you're in the center back group, whether you're in the midfield group,
I'd imagine the team knows. I'd imagine the team knows what the plan is. We don't yet know what the plan is entirely. Yeah. And that's by design. These kind of things, you got a lot of new pieces here. You want to retain that intrigue, the mystery factor around this team. You want to maintain that. You want your opponents to not quite know exactly what you're going to come out and do. You want to maintain that little bit of intrigue about how it's going to work. So I understand it. I understand why they're keeping the cards a little bit closer to the chest. But again, just the way I'm reading into it makes me think he's more likely to be playing as a centre-back than he is as a defensive midfielder.
Okay.
And I'm reading into it, to be fair. I'm reading into it, but that's how I'd read into it.
Okay, I got you. Well, it sounds like he's not going to be playing higher up the field.
No.
But if you want to be playing higher when you're on the field, check out our friends at OG's Brands. If you saw what I did there, let's go. OG's Brands, we love them. we love them so much. They are always hooking us up with the great new gummies that they got going on. They got the indicas, the sativas, the orange and cream, the new strawberries and cream, the Happy Balance. Happy Balance, kind of like this midfield, center back kind of conversation that we're having. We're trying to find the happy balance to it all. And OG's Brands, they've already solved it and everything going on. Pina colada, minis, you name it. They've got all the sleep edition. I mean, come on. You guys already know. It's official. The strawberries and cream has already hit the shelves. Check them out at your local dispensary. You can find them at ogsbrands.com. They have a little indicator. Find out that your local dispensary, they'll get you taken care of. You must be 21 years or older to enjoy responsibly. And while what the heck is so funny? When does return? Okay, BJ, listen, I am our partnerships guy, darn it, and I take pride in this stuff. And you guys will love my transitions, whether you like it or not. You're gonna love it. Yeah, that is tough. Yeah, that's absolutely brutal to hear. Gosh darn it. I sell the ads. Okay. I hate it here. I guess I'm not locked into game time right now. I guess I'm not in my game face. Oh, but wait, what's that? Game time. You can buy your tickets there. Bam! I am doubling down. Mother MFers. Gosh darn it. Yeah, go to Game Time app. Save up to 60% off when you buy tickets. Last minute, we got Rising tickets on there. Producer Sean, where the heck is our Game Time graphic? Come on, you're laughing too darn hard to throw up the right thing. Goodness gracious. But yes, go to Game Time. If you don't have season tickets, boom, new stadium. Get it on Game Time through the link in our description. BJ, do not LOL me in all caps. And you do a great job. Dang, this is a tough crowd. No, you know what? it motivates me to get better. You guys are tough, but I love it. Do not take a picture on your screen, producer Sean. I see what's going on there. This is mutiny at its finest. This is just absolute shambles. This entire chat.
Tell the people about Game Time.
I am out of it. I'm done. But no, on the real, Game Time. We love them. Best way to support that, best way to support us is through buying the links in our ticket in the link in our description. Please buy your tickets through Game Time. It's going to be a great season up ahead, and you get to hear more transition from me. Screw you all. All right. What's next in the preseason?
Quick, I'm just going to unhook the mic.
Yes, of course. Yeah, naturally.
Take the cord out.
You guys are a tough crowd, but it's not going to stop. I'm just going to double down. No.
You know what? Before we move on, though. You know what?
Asking about
Since
cheese.
we're on this
No one's asking about cheese. What do you mean?
Since we are on this conversation, we promised it last week. We get up Max's cheese of the week. So he's a Gouda here.
What the hell is that?
That's you reading ads.
What kind of a cheese? What is that? Is that
apparently it's Gouda? I don't know. It's Google said it was Gouda.
That's a handsome looking Gouda, but damn, like, was that your Photoshop skills? No,
it takes like 10 seconds to put these together.
Okay, well, don't act. Okay, I'll give you a nice chiseled product, so you're well. Stop taking pictures, producer shot. This is some bullshit. All right, listen. I'm seeing Gouda. I'm seeing blue cheese in the chat. You guys, he was a good. All right, this just gone off the rails. Listen, it's cheesy ad reads. I'm glad you guys like them or hate them. I don't care. You're gonna love them. Anyway, I'm gonna move on from this because you guys have derailed this conversation. Next steps in the preseason. Yeah, we're trying to figure out who our starters are as we get closer to the regular season kickoff. Sporting KC up next. What should we prepare? What should we be prepared for?
What should we be prepared for? Well, this is going to be a slightly different one than this game coming up. Juan said that what he's planning on doing this time is he's going to have starters out there for 60 minutes. So this is where, to your comment about how much should we read into things, this is where we start to see that difference. This is where we start to see players who are going to be expected to play more of a role early doors in the season. They're going to get more minutes.
Yep.
They're just going to straight up be starting the game, playing for an hour. So
yep.
It's expected. That's how these things work. You normally start at 45 and want to start pushing them to like 60, maybe push them to 75, then push them up to a full 90.
Yep.
You want to ease them in. But yeah, I think this is the point where we start to see that difference. What are we going to see? The answer to that, I'm afraid, is nothing, because the game this Saturday is not going to be open to us. To us, to you. Yeah, sorry, guys. So the amount of insight we can provide from this game is limited to whatever gets tweeted by the team.
Can't use Game Time for that. Suckers.
Can't use Game Time for that. We can't even get in. So good luck. But of course, that's their last game before they head on down to Mexico. And rumor has it we're going to have some coverage from.
They're not going to be the only one hanging to Mexico.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you are going to Mexico City. Oh wait, no, that's just
I'm going to Mexico City. So make sure to follow along. We'll be
Owain Evans International.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's
go.
PHNX Rising hits Mexico City, so
Gosh, make sure
to follow along. We're actually going to have hopefully articles coming up all week. Obviously, the show next Tuesday, I'll be down there, and there's games next week as well while they're down in Mexico City that they'll be playing in against Pumas under 20s and against Tabasco as well. So, what's going on? Is it going to be like late last year when KC opened a stream late that we could watch? I'd be very surprised, BJ, because again, they don't even want us going, so I'm guessing they want it in total secrecy. By the looks of things, I think this is more of a Sporting thing than a Rising thing. Sporting's preseason has not been going well, so.
Well, and you love MLS, and you.
It
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I really couldn't care less about Sporting Kansas City's players. I just want to speak to Juan Guerra and watch PHNX Rising put performance on, but hey,
it's clearly a joke. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yes. No, we agree. Yeah, very unfortunate that it's not open, but good thing we're gonna have Owain on the ground to not again for the Sporting KC game, but when they go to Mexico City, we'll be doing a live remote from that, and yeah, it'll be a good time. Anything that we missed from this coverage? Don't see anything else. No, we already talked about all the results today, so we can move swiftly onward.
Wait, you mean Tottenham Hotspur losing?
We've already covered that in the DraftKings read, so no use in rehashing that.
Stadium news, isn't there?
What's that? Oh yes, Thank you very much.
This is something that Max wanted to add to our show today, and he completely forgets.
To be honest, there's a bit of, I was thrown off by everything, but no.
Here we go.
This was from Bill Krause. Tweeted this out. Little construction of what's going on. 47 days away, something like that. It's pretty crazy. I will actually pull up the exact title. Oh my gosh, my Twitter
April
is not working.
1st.
April 1st.
April 1st. The game is on April 1st. No joke.
April Fools, baby.
No joke.
No April Fools.
No joke.
Wait, 47 days.
I
was right. 47 days. Let's go. Go math. Go brain. Go memory. But yes, 47 days away. That is absolutely crazy. Hey, MLS is the 4th most popular in the world. Okay, that's very fair.
But anyway,
no.
the point to be made here, I think, if we're talking about development along the way, is that yes, they're starting to put the stands up.
It's becoming
Rising
real.
is expected to be moving out of Wild Horse Pass for the training ground when they're away in Mexico.
Yeah.
So
it's becoming real.
It's coming to an end now. They're moving to the new location, providing it's ready in time. There'll be a training pitch there, hopefully ready in time. If not, there are alternative plans in place. But yeah, there's a lot of hope right now that they can start getting things over there. And of course, then once they get back from Mexico, there is the one chance you'll get to see them at home. Not truly at home, but in the Valley before April 1st, and that is when they play away to GCU, which will be open to the public. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff, I believe, on the first Saturday of March.
I wonder if their soccer fans are as rabid as their basketball fans.
No.
Yeah, I didn't figure. But no, it's exciting about to see the stadium. Kind of pinched me that it's, again, less than 2 months away. Wow. I love that. Pretty cool to see. I mean, guys, listen, we're coming to the home stretch here. I mean, before you know it, we're going to be starting. Before home games, there's the away game, but I mean, shoot, the regular season is upon us. And thank you guys for being a part of this. This is where we really lay the seeds, so to speak, and lay the groundwork, like the construction. See what I did there with the stadium, for the rest of the season. Okay, well, you kind of hate that one. Anyway, I think that's all we have. This guy missed Cupid's arrow. Bam. Yeah, for myself here at PHNX Rising Podcast, it's been me, Max Simpson. This has been my friend, Owain Evans, and everyone with producer Sean. We will be back with you next week. Again, Owain will be remote, Mexico City. Gonna have a great time, but thank you guys for joining in, and we'll catch you. Laters.